All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition, the Friday edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. My guest today is Thomas James from Hemp USA. Tom James. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Great. I really am great today. Think positive and be healthy, and I'm bringing food and wonderful non-food items to the market to make people's lives easier, especially in these times. And a lot of people are on pharmaceuticals, and a lot of people are just not feeling mentally well. A lot of people are depressed. What we want to do is change all that as much as we can with our company.
Well, I appreciate that. And Tom, I've been doing this for over 15 years, and long before that, I was pretty much promoting the advantages of hemp. I think this is the real crime here is that there are 10,000 products made out of hemp. It was our number one cash crop for almost 200 years. We conquered the world with hemp. We sailed around the world with hemp sails and hemp rope. World War II started, and the government asked the farmers to start growing hemp again. Are you aware of that?
Of course, back in the 40s, of course, because they needed it for parachutes, they needed it for clothing. They needed it for ropes. They needed it for everything to win the war in the 40s.
The man that created Levi's jeans, he made those jeans originally out of sails.
Yes, that's correct.
Hemp as a fiber is longer, will last longer, and is more durable than cotton. Our first flags were made out of hemp, weren't they?
Of course, first Constitution. Paint companies in the world fought against the American Marijuana Tax Act in 1937. Benjamin Moore fought and went into court and lost. They were not allowed to use the oil from the hemp plant. Can you imagine that? So that's history. The Encyclopedia Britannica was made out of it. We know all these things are made out of it. But let's tell people now that they can eat it. They can eat it with our powder, our seeds, and our oil. And we now have soft centers, which is the center of the hemp seed. And we now have hemp coffee that everybody absolutely is crazy about. And we're talking a high-frequency food here. This is the highest-frequency food known to man. Out of 3 million edible food plants, hemp is the number one plant for nutrition. And it's been used for food, clothing, and shelter since time began. You can't take it away from any country because every other industrialized nation can grow it except the United States. We're the only ones banned from growing hemp, a useful product for mankind. Funny thing is, as Kevin Trudeau always says, it's all about the money. And I agreed with him on the last show I did with him that it's all about the money. It was about the petrochemical industry moving in against natural grown crops like hemp. So what they did, basically, so people can know, hemp is a separate plant from a marijuana plant. They hid the hemp plant that was so useful and profitable for the American people behind the marijuana plant. And that's exactly what they did. It was a big lie, a lot of propaganda, and the propaganda still goes today. So I still have to get on the radio and tell people that marijuana is not hemp and hemp is not marijuana. They use the names interchangeably, loosely. It's actually used the wrong way because hemp is not marijuana. There is no psychoactive drug in the one used for clothing and food and shelter. If you grow hemp around the marijuana plant, it makes the marijuana extremely weak. And I can prove that through the Washington Jefferson diaries because they were both farmers. They interchanged letters, and there's a letter that they got the hemp growing very close to the marijuana, and it made it of no effect. Yep, it's amazing. But it's funny because the more you read, the more you understand how incredible this plant is. Here's another thing I can tell your audience and you. It's the only plant that you can tell the gender of by looking at it. You can't tell the gender of any other plant on Earth unless you take it down to its DNA level. So it's a pretty amazing plant in so many ways. And listen, another thing I found out is that the enzyme was discovered through the hemp seed. Enzymes, when they were discovered, I forget the year, but they were looking at the hemp seed when they discovered it. Isn't that amazing?
And if you were stranded on a desert island, you knew you were going to be stranded on a desert island, and you could take one thing with you, what would that be? He said, a hemp seed.
Absolutely.
It will provide you with fuel. It will provide you with food. It will provide you with clothing. It will provide you with shelter. I got a film up on my old website, which I've got a link to right at the top of the site, of Henry Ford. Got a guy swinging a sledgehammer in an old Ford.
Yep, that was 1947 that Ford was on the video, and they took a sledgehammer to it, it bounced off. It was made with hemp, flax, and sisal, and it was a car that they never let out because obviously even the automobile industry would feel the impact of that plant.
Well, sure. I mean, you bump into somebody instead of having to pay $500 to a mechanic or a body man to get your car fixed. You wouldn't need it. You would.
Yeah, the whole thing is you bump into somebody, you say, "Oh, sorry about that."
Oops, sorry, boy.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But listen, let's tell everyone that's listening about the products, because they can energize their whole body. They can rebuild all of their organs. They can totally clean their blood. They can nourish the body with all the magnesium, potassium, calcium that they're deficient in through the hemp plant powder, seeds, and oil that we have. We've been doing this for many years. We've been on thousands of radio stations, and we just like to wake up America and the world to the fact that this food can change your life. If you have depression, it works wonderfully with that. If you have any kind of sickness, most sickness stems from a magnesium deficiency or some other vitamin deficiency. You'll get a large amount of your vitamins from this particular food through the powder, making shakes, through the oil by putting it on your salads or taking it by the tablespoon, or you can also have it with the seeds, a portable food. Wherever you go with your hobbies, when you travel, you could take the seeds with you, and a handful of these seeds, Clayton, will give the body all the nutrition for a 24-hour period. Can you imagine? One handful. So it's in a miraculous food. It's not an amazing food, it's miraculous. And it can change the body. If you give the body the proper nutrients, it will and can heal itself.
Former Secretary of Agriculture of California said if they'd let us plant hemp on our hillsides, we wouldn't have any erosion.
Yeah, that's a fact. The erosion problem happened largely due to the plants not being here when they took them away, and it's the best rotational crop in the world for a farmer. You can't beat it. It's got the largest tap rooting system of any plant. It gets deeper into the earth's crust, and it pulls up minerals that other plants can't pull up. That's why we rotate our crops every 3 years, and that's very important for the production and the harvest of a really high-quality seed plant.
I'm sorry, I'm almost speechless from this.
It's an amazing plant. They won't let it in. Now, I tell you what, even if we did get it in, it would take us a while to really step up production because you need production facilities on the farms. It's that simple. In the 30s, when they made it illegal, they did away with the corticating machine. Did you know that?
No.
The day that the Tax Act came out, the corticating machine that actually processed the hemp, because it's a little difficult to process, it's very hard, the corticating machine disappeared. Can you imagine? I wonder what they did with it.
You know, people don't realize, Tom, the extent attack on the American farmer and our way of life, trying to outlaw hemp, the most fantastic plant out there. And it's outlawed in America, the land of the home and the brave and the free. That's incredible to me.
Yeah, it is a productive plant. But let's talk about the food for the American people. Let's talk about how it could change their life, because people need to eat it. I would like to tell the audience the difference between our powder and the difference between our seeds and our oil versus the ones that are on the shelves in America.
Okay.
Okay, the powder, we have very proprietary processes. In the powder, we leave 12% of our oil in the seed before we grind it. And that's really amazing because most of them have about 2% left, and they make a flour out of it. What we do is we leave a whole lot more in to make it a heavy cake powder. So ours is a cake powder, not a flour. Not only that, we grind it finer, and we also sift out a decent amount of the fiber because hemp alone, when you grind it, has about 40% fiber. So it's very high in fiber. And when we take and sift some of that fiber out, because a lot of it's used as filler after that, we sift that out and we raise the protein value. We give it a different taste. It's just wonderful. So the way we produce it, it's a very intense, heavy green cake powder, and it's 53.5% protein. So it really makes a difference in growing muscle and feeding the body. We have a lot of athletes that just mix it with water. You can mix it with any kind of shake, and it's just amazing. And our oil is triple filtered, and it's actually pressed between 75 and 96 degrees. So it's not like your average oil that's pressed at around 120 degrees. So the less heat, the more enzyme life. And also you won't find anything in our oil laying on top of it, any sediment or anything. It's very, very clean, clear, and dark green. And our seeds, we're the only ones that toast the seeds. The reason we toast them is we don't have to sterilize them to get them over the border like everybody else. So our seeds are toasted without any enzyme or nutritional loss. They taste 100% better because the taste is brought out when they're slightly toasted. And we make the seed non-viable that way without sterilization. So we offer quite a lot to our customer, and they taste the difference, and that's the reason they reorder and reorder and reorder. That's what I was doing. I was making hemp milk. I make hemp milk every morning.
Yeah.
And the reason I do it is because I don't have to drink cow's milk, and it's wonderfully loaded with enzymes. And I can tell with customers and the people in your audience how to make it. It's very simple. You can make hemp milk out of the soft centers, which is the center of the seed. You put a quart of water in any high-speed blender, and you could take a cup of soft centers, 8 ounces, put it in, turn the blender on for 20 seconds, and you have milk. Wow. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
And I'm going to tell you something. We're selling a lot of soft centers, and we also have a milk nut bag where you could filter out the residue, and it just makes a wonderful milk. And you could put anything you want in it to sweeten it, to put a little salt in it, to make it thicker, whatever you want to do, you could do it because everybody has different taste buds. I just do it like this, and I use it on my coffee, my hemp coffee in the morning, and it's like I'm having a latte. It's incredible. So when I go out and spend $4 on a cup of coffee.
Tell me about this micro powder, too. Now, you've got a new size in that. It's a small, portable size.
That's right. We've got a new travel size because so many have asked us that travel, would you make a smaller thing so we could just buy it and put it in a suitcase? So that's what we did. And it's already selling very well. But our microplant powder will literally take heavy metals from the brain, blood, and organs and pull them out of the body. Our product, the microplant powder, goes through the body in 24 hours. 99% of the product will pull out positive toxins in a 24-hour period. And I recommend it highly for chemtrails, for vaccinations, for any kind of water pollution or damage, because we need to pull these things out of our body every day. So this is a product that you would take every day. And it's odorless and tasteless, and it can be mixed in any liquid. And it's loaded with silica, which will soften all the heart valves and stop heart attacks. It'll hydrate the vertebrae. It'll take pain away from arthritis. And it works for everyone. Some people are more toxic than others, so you might feel it right away. It might take a couple of weeks or a month or so. But it will do a job on your skin, hair, and nails because we all need silica. And silica is a precursor for calcium, for many other minerals. It actually, the way God set our bodies up, we can't even explain how transmutation works. But this is a product that will transmutate and change into other minerals according to the body's needs.
Now, I want to ask you about that. Now, I've got I used to handle, or have a gentleman on my show by the name of Dr. Eli Wallach. And he had a tape out called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. He talked about the vitamins. He said that when they go to clean out the latrines or the portable toilets, they would find hundreds of thousands of vitamins in there that just passed right through you. So he created a product. I didn't care for it much. I called it dinosaur dung because it tasted so horrible. But he talked about the lack of minerals in the body being the prime cause of almost all illness.
That's exactly right, and they're zeroing it down to magnesium now because magnesium itself has over 325 processes for the human heart, and they're stemming 80% of all disease is from magnesium deficiency. And, of course, other minerals, but magnesium, they're saying, is the #1 cause. That's the reason we have the magnesium oil spray. That's the reason we have the magnesium bath beads. We want to get magnesium back at the cellular level. And we're going to come out in about another week or two with oral magnesium, which is 100% bioavailable to the body and cell, and it's something that you would take 2 tablespoons a day. So it keeps the magnesium back in the body. It changes the whole body function. So we'll realize a much higher level of health when we consume more magnesium.